Let's kick off this explainer with a question that honestly sounds simple, but it's actually surprisingly tough to answer. What exactly is a healthy diet? We are constantly bombarded with the latest fad diets and these supposed miracle superfoods, right? Well, today, we're cutting through all that noise. We're going to look at what the science actually says by diving into the World Health Organization's official guidelines. Because at the end of the day, understanding exactly how your diet directly impacts your health, your disease risk, and your overall well-being is absolutely crucial.
So check out this single, powerful number, 400 grams. You might actually be surprised to learn that this is the minimum daily target of fruits and vegetables that adults need to ward off major diseases, according to the WHO. It's not just some vague suggestion to eat your veggies. It's a highly specific, measurable goal that actively defends your health every single day.
Think of this explainer as the ultimate blueprint for your body. Over the next few minutes, we are going to translate those really dense, comprehensive WHO guidelines into a practical, totally actionable plan for your everyday life. We're basically looking at the architectural plans for your long-term health.
And here is exactly how we're going to build that blueprint today. First up, why your diet matters. Second, the 4 principles of eating. Third, mastering your macronutrients. Fourth, mind your micros and salt. And finally, creating healthy food environments. Let's dive in.
Starting with part 1, why your diet matters, the foundation of health. A truly healthy diet acts like a dual-layered shield for your body. On one side, it protects us from malnutrition in all its forms, so whether that's undernutrition or lacking essential vitamins. But on the other side, and this is where it so heavily impacts our modern health landscape, it defends against the staggering rise of non-communicable diseases, or NCDs. We are talking about the big ones: diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and cancer. Unhealthy diets are literally a major risk factor for disease and disability across the globe. What you put on your plate is your absolute first line of defense. And this defense system starts incredibly early. In fact, it starts on day 1. From birth to 6 months, exclusive breastfeeding fosters healthy growth and significantly improves cognitive development. Then at 6 months, we start introducing safe, diverse foods. And by the time a child is 2 years old, we are establishing dietary behaviors and preferences that often stick with them well into adulthood. How we feed our kids really does set the entire trajectory for their lifelong health.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 4 principles of eating, or as I like to call them, the golden rules.
The very first principle is adequacy. This is about getting exactly what your body needs to thrive and prevent physical deficiencies. But notice the key phrase here: without exceeding those needs. It's about hitting that sweet spot, getting enough of the good stuff without going overboard. Next up is balance. This is all about the fascinating energy equation of the human body. You have to match the energy you consume with the energy you burn throughout the day. But it's not just a simple calories in, calories out game. It's also about ensuring an adequate balance across your 3 primary sources of energy: your proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Then we have moderation. And let's be honest, this is often the hardest part, right? Because a healthy diet is just as much about what you don't eat. It involves strictly limiting your intake of specific nutrients, ingredients, and highly processed foods that the WHO has flagged as detrimental to your health. We're talking things like unhealthy fats, free sugars, and excess sodium.
Finally, the 4th principle is diversity. This basically guarantees you're casting a wide net to capture all the essential vitamins and minerals your body is craving. It means eating a really wide array of nutritious, minimally processed foods. And that doesn't just mean eating from different food groups, but exploring variety within those food groups as well. Mix it up.
Let's get a bit more specific with Section 3, mastering your macronutrients, the frame.
When we look at the big energy providers, the WHO guidelines give us a really fascinating ratio. A massive 45 to 75% of your energy should come from carbohydrates. But hold on, there's a major catch. These shouldn't be refined sugars. This huge chunk of your energy needs to come from unrefined carbohydrates like whole grains, vegetables, fruits, and pulses. Fats should make up about 15 to 30%, and proteins round the whole thing out at 10 to 15%. This is literally the biological ratio your body needs to function at its absolute best. Now, when it comes to that 15 to 30% of your diet that is fat, the quality is just as crucial as the quantity. We have to clearly draw a line in the sand between the good and the bad. You want essential unsaturated fats, the kind you find in fish, avocados, nuts, and olive oil. On the flip side, saturated fats found in fatty meats and butter should be strictly limited to under 10% of your energy intake. But here is the most important part. Industrially produced trans fats found in a lot of baked goods and frozen pizzas are actively harmful to your health. The WHO is crystal clear on this. They should be avoided entirely. Keep them well under 1% of your total energy.
And speaking of things you definitely need to limit, take a look at this. 12 teaspoons. That equals 50 grams, which is the absolute maximum limit of free sugars a healthy weight adult should consume daily. That's less than 10% of your total energy. Honestly, getting it under 5% is even better. But here is a truly fascinating point from the WHO guidelines. Reducing your free sugars should be accomplished without replacing them with non-sugar sweeteners like aspartame or stevia. It's all about retraining your palate to just crave less sweetness overall, rather than just swapping out sugar for chemicals.
All right, Section 4. Mind your micros and salt. The details.
So macronutrients provide the fuel, but micronutrients, your vitamins and minerals, are what actually keep the engine running smoothly. We need about 30 essential vitamins and minerals in really small amounts. Iron prevents anemia. Vitamin A actively protects your vision. Iodine is crucial for cognitive health. Folate is a must for neural development, and zinc supports your immune function. But the global reality here is pretty stark. Over half of all children under 5 and over 2/3 of non-pregnant women of reproductive age are deficient in at least one of these critical micronutrients. This is exactly why eating a diverse, nutrient-dense diet is so absolutely critical for your health.
We also really need to talk about salt, or more specifically, the sodium inside it. The directive here is super strict. Limit your salt intake to less than 5 grams a day. Why? Because exceeding this limit drastically spikes your blood pressure, making high salt intake a major driver of cardiovascular disease across the entire world. And the crazy thing is, many people have no idea how much salt they're actually consuming, because it's completely hidden inside processed foods like ready meals, bacon, and surprisingly, even a basic loaf of bread.
To actually make these strict limits on fats and salt doable in your own kitchen, the WHO suggests adopting 3 really simple cooking hacks. Step 1, change up your cooking method. Try steaming or boiling your food instead of frying it to cut down on all those unnecessary fats. Step 2, when you're preparing food or sitting at the table, resist the urge to drench your meals in high-sodium soy or fish sauces. And Step 3, consider switching to lower-sodium salt substitutes. These are brilliant because a portion of the sodium is replaced with potassium, and potassium actually helps mitigate the negative effects of sodium on your blood pressure. It's a win-win.
Bringing us to our final section, Section 5, Creating Healthy Food Environments, the Neighborhood.
Look, it is incredibly difficult to make healthy choices if you live in an environment where junk food is dirt cheap, easily accessible, and constantly marketed to you. That is exactly why the WHO strongly urges governments to step in with multi-pronged policies to reshape food production and gently nudge consumers toward better health. We're talking about subsidizing fresh fruits and vegetables to make them affordable for everyone, taxing highly processed foods that are loaded with sugar and fat, mandating really clear front-of-pack labeling so you actually know what you're buying, banning harmful junk food marketing directed at kids, and fortifying staple foods with those essential vitamins we talked about earlier.
As the guidelines emphasize, true global health is a massive collaborative effort. You cannot tackle these diseases just by telling people to eat better. It takes a village. It requires the involvement of government, the public sector, and the private sector working together. It extends from high-level national agricultural and tax policies all the way down to how your local grocery store arranges its aisles.
So we've covered the whole shebang today, from the global policy shaping our food environment to the exact percentage of carbohydrates that should be on your plate. A healthy diet really is your absolute best defense against disease, but it requires both your own personal choices and systemic support. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to consider as you plan your very next meal. How strong is your own nutritional house built right now, and what is one thing you can do today to strengthen that blueprint? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep building a healthier you.